go there for the group. No, we are not going yet. And this is the second meeting. The last one. And when we come back, we'll take our snacks and then we just get to work there. Go to the matters are right and presentation of material reports. Thank you. Good.
Two, lack of unified succession framework. That seem not to be consistent or officially recognized succession procedure across many traditional councils and areas, leading to confusion and contested leadership. What is the solution? Legal codification of succession rules by Parliament and the Ministry of Chieftaincy, making rightful succession enforceable by law. 3, weak enforcement of resolutions. What is the issue? Even when rulings have been given by courts or traditional bodies, enforcement is slow and selective or resisted. Solution: strict government and security enforcement of rulings, including penalties for unauthorized achievement or disturbances. 4, community division. What is the matter here? Ethnic and political polarization has transformed leadership disputes into community-wide hostility and violence. And I said the solution from what I've gathered: grassroots peace building through community dialogue, youth and women's engagement, cultural education, and reconciliation efforts. 5, reactivate security measures. National security tends to respond only after violence erupts rather than preventing it. That is what I have come across. And what is the solution? Proactive security strategy, including early warning system, culturally informed intelligence gathering, and consistent non-partisan presence on the ground. I believe that if we do this, among other things, we may be getting to the solution. And so I want you to have this. National security, I've told you, I've a letter in your office. I will still want us to discuss with them. So you should invite me. Thank you for this.
Thank you, Nana. We're happy that with the presence of National Security Council here, you are now informing Nana that these are the steps you have taken so far. I wish you have informed us earlier to discuss it, but thank God I wasn't here, but I heard you say that we should procure gadgets to track.
Yeah, like drones.
Yes, gadgets, good. Succession. Thank you very much. And then before that, what I was doing out, the last one was also talking about proliferation of cattle ranches. Is that correct? I don't want to mention any tribe yet because I don't know them. But they are all over the place. So when you come over here some time ago, I don't know whether they have left the place, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so we need funding, isn't it? The last speaker, a lot of funding to tackle all these things. And then the national security should not be selective. They should see every problem as a national issue and tackle it. Yeah. Thank you. Any other?
Well, I was saying it's going to be discussing the issue of national security is very critical. But the fundamentals that allow chiefs and traditional authorities to operate basically is being taken away from us in the area of land. When I talk land, I mean everything on it, and then beneath. To the extent that we experience a lot of environmental degradation resulting in annihilation. It's all because we vested the rights of our chiefs of the land to the president. I know the constitutional review is doing something about it, or this is not the case we discussed. But that is a very key fundamental. That if we want to tackle some environmental degradation, we need to make sure that that part of the Constitution, 2576, is amended to recognize traditional authorities and their roles.
Yeah, thank you, Nana. You said that Nana are not involved in the fight against environmental degradation because when you look at the Land Act and the regulations, even though we own the land, allocation of plots for development, allocation of plots for timber, extraction, for mining, etc., etc., none of them are not involved. So again, enforcement of law to prevent degradation, none of them are sidelined. Is that correct? Is somebody all right?
Much like that we looking at.
So add what is left.
So what is left is we need to amend the Constitution to stop the investment of lands and mineral resources to the president, but then to the traditional authorities. Because we are the ones, when we are giving all that authority, we should be in the best place to fight all this in the law.
I mean, the first year of Ghana, and our problem there for the students is deforestation, illegal chainsaw operation. It's been going on for quite a while. Some years ago, when it was beginning, I approached the Ministry of Lands and Forestry that time, and he mentioned to me that as chiefs, it's our responsibility, or part of our responsibility, to protect the forest. And I mentioned what we have to protect the forest. You don't have authority over the police, you don't have authority over the military, you have no means or the resources, the capability to do it. And as it stands right now, the forest has been devastated. My worry, my concern right now, all these guys in the forest, there are no more trees. What are they going to do? My worry is that the next thing to do, God will say, as you mentioned, that's my fear. How do you protect ourselves from this? Some time ago in this house, I mentioned that to help the chiefs with certain situations as security is concerned, as law enforcement is concerned, I proposed and I suggested that mine in particular should be assigned one police officer to concentrate to be faithful by the government. And the colonial days, we have what we call an police. We don't have it right now. Now, when there's something going on, what do I do? I have to call the commander in charge. Make it slow. If I have a police officer, and I can do it all the time, I think it will help. For instance, you are saying to me on that. In my area, I've raised a car to stay there and say, for how long can I hold these guys? The forest is close, the guys are in the forest. You have military presence in our region right now. I'm sure you are aware of this. Sometimes they report things like that. But we would like to have direct control of our resources. in the health of our own people. So we need to have and give this reinstall that total. Thank you.
Nana, thank you. This is again about it. And where these forests are, there are human beings there. Before the creation of the forest, they were there, and they have increased in population. Unfortunately, Forest Commission has, in Opemsuo traditional area alone, apart from the 4 mining companies, they have also allocated 45 compartments of the remaining forest to this company. And my people are talking, they are crying, they are asking for a savior. So National Security Coordinator, please, from here, you go to the BN, go and find out. Nana, you also suggested that I pay for you, that is your suggestion. I don't know whether the Nana will agree with you. But what is really worrisome is where we are put now, local government. So now we are going to be under the district chief executive or municipal chief executive. So now we have to be very, very careful about this issue. Otherwise, there may be conflict. You own the land. We are complaining about everything under the president. Now we are even going under a lower authority. So, Nana, your point is noted. Chainsaw, charcoal, and for charcoal, I think, coordinator, we need to enforce the supply of what do we call it? Use of gas cylinders in our communities. The price is too high, and that is why they cannot use gas. So when you use charcoal, look at the women with children behind them. The children inhale bad air from the charcoal burning and so on and so forth. And so we are dealing with you. This is also an area that we should be looking at. Thank you.
Firstly, thank you, COP, for coming in your address. You call yourself our son. Something I see as honor respect to your fathers, to the chieftaincy institution, and also to you also mentioned that our chiefs have been the backbone of governance. Before colonization, that means if you were not colonized, we would be in charge. Unfortunately, we were colonized. And when we gained independence, if we gain independence, do we go back to what we had before colonization, or we continue with what the white man brought to us? We see the gradual exclusion of the chieftaincy institution from the governance architecture of this country, and it is not helping us. We have woefully underrated the importance of chiefs in this country. So when it comes to sharing the cake, I'm sorry, we are giving the crumbs or the crumbs, because if you consider how much allowance a chief is given in a month, it does not go near the allowance of a driver of an official in Accra. Who is the son? Who is the father? If you consider the cases that have been handled by chiefs in their communities, if they should go to the courts, they cannot handle them. These are not recognized. On Tuesdays, on Wednesdays, on Saturdays, go to the palaces of chiefs. They are resolving cases through arbitration. Cases that will take months and years in court. They are being resolved by chiefs in their palaces. Swiftly, timely, within days, bringing peace to homes, to families, to communities. These are what I would say they're not seen. Also, if you take all the cases in Ghana, we have chieftaincy cases and non-chieftaincy cases. The chieftaincy cases go to the traditional councils, the regional of chiefs, and the national of chiefs. But then the non-chieftaincy cases will go to the formal courts, and the judges there who are nominated by the government to handle those cases. But then what about the chieftaincy cases? They go to the traditional councils, and the litigants will have to pay for the judges or for the chiefs who are sitting on those cases. That means if you have a case which is chieftaincy related, you have to offer more money to be able to get justice. This is woefully or not seen, and I think we have to recognize that and ensure that we have money going to the regional of chiefs, national of chiefs, traditional, to ensure that as much as we are helping the judges, relating the judges to solve those cases, we are also giving same attention to chieftaincy district also. Now, if you come to my community or my area, there are hundreds of communities, but there are only 3 police stations who are managing, who are ensuring that there is peace, sanity in those communities. Chiefs. Because the police stations in my area are 3, but we have hundreds of settlements. Chiefs are helping bring peace, order in those communities. Somebody compared us to Liberia. Liberia, what happened in Liberia can never happen in Ghana because Ghana, there are chiefs. Chiefs may not be respected, may not be honored through by maybe successive governments. The people will revere chiefs. The people will respect chiefs. That inherent latent strength that we have, that resilience that we have over centuries is there. So the people will always respect us. And so that thing happening in Nigeria will not happen because we have chiefs. How well are we going to ensure that this resilient institution does not slip away and gradually slip away? I'm happy that somebody mentioned that we should include chiefs in the regional, in the District Security Council and Ministry, etc. In my area, I am not part of the District Security Council, but who are the members? So, he's there for 3 years. Inspector, so he's there for 3 years. So he's going in the next government. He doesn't decide there. And then from the core of the Security Council, the decision making will be flawed if the chief is not part of it. And I'm happy that someone has mentioned that some chiefs. Also, we are having a planning for key decision makers trying to even destroy chiefs without going through the right processes. And it's because they do not have that training. There should be a situation where national security will be proactive to ensure that there is peace, rather than spend double after chaos. So national security can have in place a system where there is continuous training for key decision makers, training for chiefs, etc., to ensure, even with the chiefs, there are processes for the student chiefs. But these are ignored, and we have similar cases in the center where at the end of the day they have to apologize. But the apologies come after the chaos has already been done, after families have been split, after things have been lost. And it is important that we consider this also. And then for us, I would say that we do not love the country more than anybody else. We show equal concern and we say, how can we help you? If someone is firing light armed, and I tell the person that comes to the police, can tell me that my lawyer says I shouldn't come, and I can't do anything. He can be firing light armed, but I can't call him because I don't have the power to do so. Government officials have been here severally. We have mentioned severally. They say they will act on it severally, and they've not done anything about it severally. We've mentioned several about this section 63B, that we should be able to summon people to our palaces to account for things that are not helping our communities. I wish when you live here, you give us timeline. That look, chief, I'll show you within the next 9 months, 6 months, 9 weeks. So we are going to ensure that you have that power to do so. And once you do that, then we say that you are helping us to help you. I'm happy that you are saying that you are going to include chiefs in the security architecture of this country. It is one step, and we need to do more. We need to ensure that we don't overlook chiefs. We need to ensure that chiefs who have maintained our country so strong that the right one take a lot of effort to be able to really integrate. We've got the opportunity, we've got our independence, and all we can do is to continue with what the right one was doing without strengthening what we had before the right one came. This is an issue which is even broader than national security. But it's an issue that as national chiefs, we have to take it firmly. We have to take the bull by the horn and say that we are chiefs. We were there before you came. Whoever is taking the decision, etc., may be taking the decision, but after so many years, we may not be here. But we have been here consistently. And may be here replacing somebody through inheritance, etc. But the chief institution that has been here for so long, we must ensure that the benefits, the potential, which I see as latent, we tap it to the benefit of our country. This is my little contribution. Thank you.
Thank you. And Nana said that yes, the number of arbitration panels in palaces will resolve a number of issues. So we cut down on the number of cases that go to court. Our police are not well resourced. We should also organize training for Nana in law and administration. When we say Nana, including criminals and champagne and what have you. And then power of chief to summon wrongdoers to the palace. Nana mentioned that yes, people contribute before their cases are determined. He was not talking about corruption. All that he was saying is that once you are engaging people to settle a matter, then of course, some money will be put there as certain allowance for the chiefs. So he wasn't referring to bribing to settle matters. Certainly, once you want to engage chiefs almost on a daily basis to do the job, litigants will be able to make it. And you feel that in the ordinary course, the judges are paid by government. So something like that should also go to Nana. Thank you very much. But our forefathers used their blood to fight. Now we have law. Don't let us sit aloof. Let us continue to use the law. Let us continue to use arguments that we are doing right now. We are giving the opportunity to tell the whole world that yes, the land owns the land. We are always with the people. So please resource us. Once you resource us, a lot of these issues will have been resolved even before they come to your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, madam, for the privilege given to contribute. I'm the next secretary from Africa. On the issue of the water bodies looking like cocoa powder milk as investigation, I humbly want to submit that the river bodies as we see today, they are not beautiful, as you said. Ghana, before the coming of the white man, started good. The chiefs in Ghana were commended for their old ornaments. The village was gold. We extracted gold from Ghana, and the water bodies were very clean. We didn't have those issues before. So what happened? What happened? chiefs have already mentioned that we've been sidelined the chiefs and sidelined on many fronts, which has slowly led to this harmful situation we find ourselves in. Unfortunately, the nation is facing a subtle national security threat, which, if not addressed, will lead the entire country into chaos. That was when the Chieftaincy Act, at 63 subsection D, was encroached by a harmful judgment, so to speak. Article 63 subsection D was scrapped, and it is simply not just a disrespect towards all around, but it is a death trap. If we look at the situation where the revered chiefs of this beautiful nation do not have any authority to call even their own citizens to the palace. So the palace becomes like a stooge, irrelevant in the society. So none of these beautiful chiefs here have the authority traditionally to summon their subjects to their palace. It is an affront to chieftaincy. It is as though the authorities are saying chieftaincy is not relevant anymore. So we are very happy when the technocrats, when they appear before us and they praise us and acknowledge our position as chiefs. Yet, on paper, chiefs are being undermined. As I'm telling you right now, these river bodies have the art today because we do not have any authority to call anyone to the palace to ask him, why are you doing this? Those rivers have been kept for years by the chiefs. Our ancestors have taken care of these rivers for years until the Galamsey issue came and chiefs have no power to summon anybody, to call anybody, to ask them, what are you doing with my river? The river is not only for the chiefs, it's for the community. But we have cases where activities are going on, activities are going on in the river. We do not have power to summon anybody, to question them, why are they doing those things? So, what I'm simply saying on behalf of Anam is that the position of the paramount chief must not be undermined by the state authorities. I only want to suggest that if it is against the spirit of the Ghana Constitution Act 14/21, infringing on the rights of movement and as you can see in that case where the Nagboso was saying that human rights, human movement was being trampled upon. Let us also look at the situation where we can amend that constitution to say that if a person is involved in an economic activity within a particular traditional area, that traditional authority has the right to summon the person to the palace, at least to them what is going on in the area. Like in my place, there was a situation where we had foreign nationals from Nigeria. They were engaged in some harmful economic activities in my area. And I tried to summon them backfired. By simply saying,
you have 1 minute more.
they cannot come. If the chief wants, we can take them to court. This is an affront to the chief. I humbly submit that something should be done about this. Thank you.
Thank you. And then you refer to Relevance and other activities. Unfortunately, and then he said Act 63D. This Act 63 has been raised at several fora in this house, and we are still working to get it reinstated, right? So that the chief can summon a citizen or resident in his additional area to the palace. Yes, for this provision of river bodies, let us name and shame. Politicians are involved, Nanan are also involved. Sometimes we argue as if Nanan you are not involved. If you are not involved and your big group or your divisional chief is involved, you are vicariously involved. Because as for them, we can summon them, so let us also start the fight from our own palaces, our own area. If what we hear or see on social media in Upper Volta, that is Burkina Faso, is true, that is where we have the river which is narrow, the black water is narrow over there. And look at what we are seeing, which is true. A channel has been constructed to use the water to help farmers grow more grains. Unfortunately, we are at the lower end, and that is where we have a large expanse of water. What are we using the water for? What are we using the water for? So these are areas that now we should engage ourselves and then put pressure on governments, on our municipalities, assemblies to use the water bodies for economic activities. Certainly, if we are using the water bodies for economic activities, it's very, very difficult for people to come to destroy water bodies. But I agree with you that we need to be involved in fighting the Relevance and the destruction of the water bodies. Thank you. But of course, national security, our politicians are leading it. The Relevance, you know it, I know it. When you are president, we tell you it's from Newbury House. It started from the old government, that's the MPP, and the current government. People are also doing it. I'm from the Western North. I'm talking on authority. They are involved. They are all over the place. Let us see. That's why I said that chiefs too. If there are chiefs and there are also doing that, we should sanction them and make sure that we don't destroy our water bodies. Thank you. I'm happy anyway that so far, in my region alone, we've been able to confiscate about 100 and something excavators. And in Carrier, more than 100 have been confiscated. Opemsuo, so, and I believe it's all over. But then, what will happen? When Nana Akufo-Addo regime started banning it, we said, oh, don't ban them, we can use them. And before we were aware, they all disappeared. They went back to the bush. Right now, yes, we have seized them. But for how long are we going to keep them? And before we are aware, they will go back to the bush again to destroy the water bodies and our forests. So let's act fast. Thank you.
Today, to address us, I have sat here and listened to comments and contributions. There's a history to this. There's an issue. More often than not, we don't want to refer to it. Not that they keep making reference that we are the owners of the land. I remember clearly, and I keep saying this here, 7 years old, we had independence. Our first president, bold enough to tell the British to get out of town. You leave. You go. We, the African educated elite, have enough to manage this country. It did not stop there. The coroner came and said, now look, before there were the chiefs. He told the chiefs to get out of the way. In fact, I'm going to drive you out until you leave us. That's what happened in this country. You cannot fight something that you don't own. They took the ownership away from us. Register of Land 1962, 1, 2, 3, all of that is still in the books. And so I hear my president say that when I'm the owner of the land, yes, you are. You cannot allocate. You cannot get titles. You cannot collect your own rent. How do you become an owner? I have questioned this, and I know that unless we want to go back and change that which has lost its relevance, ladies and my colleagues, centrality of governance has lost its relevance in this country. And every time we raise the issue that an animal should claim the land back, you know what? There are some of us who don't want to hear that. Because they may think that some of us who do have land will benefit. I beg to differ. The government will have the power to tax every traditional council. And the tax revenue received that they do everywhere will be able to subsidize the whole country. The commerce idea, let the well endowed subsidize the less endowed. And then when we do that, we'll bring back amenities and opportunities to rural Ghana. That's what we suffer right now. There's no difference between what the British and the West did to Africa. When they took everything away from Africa and rendered us poverty, we came on and took everything from rural Ghana. Everything. From rural Ghana and kept it at the center. And rural Ghana is poor. There are people who live in this country who are wallowing around, stripped of their dignity to find work and take care of their children because of the location of their birth. Because of where they live. There are no opportunities, nothing of that sort. So if we're going to talk about this really, and talk about who owns the river, who owns the land, let's go back to history. When the pronouncement was made, that if the chiefs who were not agreeing with the common man were destroyed and shamed. We cannot try to build a socialist policy of ownership and on top of that try to put a capitalist structure on it. It was not going to work. That's why we've done everything possible to do this in this country. We've had elections, we've had economic theory that is supposed to move us forward. We are no longer considered a speculative destination. Our country is investment-based. People come here and bring their money, and their money will be safe. We've done all that, but the stakes is not moving. It's not moving because the fundamental form of ownership. People in this country don't have money. The money that was supposed to be in private hands were taken away. So now we're just here trying to come build up and build up land. If you own your home and somebody comes by land to steal something that is in your home, you either change them, you take the thing back, or you need me even fire. It's not the same. You call and I'm saying people trying to destroy your land, and they'll have the audacity to say that I'm going to go and see some people in Jubilee. You have no right. When the water company in Chile tells me that the water is so polluted, and if we don't do anything about it, we will not have water. And that's simply helpless. Because if I go and confiscate excavators who are destroying the land and burn them, I'm in trouble. We can't have it both ways. We cannot have it both ways. And just to remind us again that we used to be 48,000 settlements in this country. You know what? Out of that, only 12,000 had government agencies there. The 36,000 left was run on a day-to-day basis by the federal, by the Congress. If you want to know why our country is at peace, it's because of that. So we cannot be disrespectful. And all these things are going down to really, they can't be managed, then let's take it away from them. They should come to Accra. We can't have it both ways, my friend. Either want to continue doing this, or we change the theory of evolution. Thank you.
And until this is changed, we'll continue to have these problems. Yes, yesterday I was telling those who were here that there are 4 big mining companies in my area. If in a month or 6 months, $1 million is paid as royalty, what comes to me is only $13,000. Why? The 1 million, only 10% is paid to administrator of 2 lands for the investment, and that is 100,000. Then the administrator of 2 lands takes 10%, that's also 10,000, 1%, that's also 10,000, or 10%, sorry. Leaving me with how much? 90,000, right? The 90,000, municipalities assembly takes over 55%, that's about 49,500. Then what is left about 40,000, so and so. And it's not only for Amiaso, Sankore, Carrier, and Amiaso. So divide that by 3, you have 13,000. So 1 million, the landowners are taking only 40,000. And what goes to the municipalities assembly, you ask them, you say, we use it to collect garbage. And you know, garbage collection, as soon as it is taken away, it will be very, very difficult for you to determine the quantum of garbage that was carried away. And they will tell you every other day. Meanwhile, in all areas that they generate the garbage, they take money from them. And then you are in the meeting, please. You are talking on the phone. It's not allowed. So please, yes, this is what we are complaining about. That's what we are complaining about. And we have parliament, they all come from all these areas, and when they go, all they talk about our allowance, our this, our that. But no, we have embarked upon several initiatives in our respective areas. Scholarships, helping the needy. This year, thank God, government is paying first year fees for students. The second year, that is when we are going to move out from government dormitories. And so we will come back to Manama. We need money to hire a hostel and then to pay school fees. And in 3rd year, it ranges from 4,000 to 20,000. So you can imagine. And again, in palaces, even the bottles of bottled water that we supply to visitors again, it's a lot of money. And this is what Nana is saying. If we own the property, if we own the land, then let us also manage it. And our people will open their eyes, and if any chief who is accused of squandering state funds will be sued. No doubt about that. That is one thing a chief cannot do, is supposed to do. Even though the Constitution says that Nanano to use the money to maintain their status as chief. We don't use the money to maintain, what do you remember our status? Granted that is even correct. They are involved who carries my umbrella is part of the school. That man who mends my sandals is also part of the school. And we all must be taken care of. So these are some of the national security issues. We are not happy at all. Then you invest all the money to one person, and then that one person goes to have a minister of lands and natural resources, and they start allocating plots and forests here and there. These are issues. In fact, if this country is yearning for, what do we call it there? Socialism, we are past there. This is not part of Kuma era. We are tired of socialism. You don't expect somebody to work and then come and use his resources to feed other people. Yes, but the system will tax you and then take care of the vulnerable. So that is what we are asking for. When you come to mineral, for example, they say the man owns the surface rights. What's the debt of the surface rights? What's the debt? Okay, all sorts of problems, all sorts of interpretation. We are not happy. We are not happy at all. I'm happy you are here today, and you and Anam will help you get the whole picture. That's why we are telling you we are not happy at all. And it's not about this government alone. It's not about this government alone, no. After my made it clear that a man will run away and leave the standards away. He ran away and left his panties here. He forgot about them. You see, but we are talking about post-farming coma. They come election time to tell us all sorts of things. Yet we don't deliver. Look at the nature of our roads. A country which is about 68 years now, and we can't have a good road from Accra to Bolga. We don't have railway line. We don't have airline. Oh God. So what do you use our resources for? And for the past 1.5 years, I've never traveled from Kumasi to Accra on the road. And I won't wait. But it's affects my pocket. Because it's now 2,550 between here and Accra, hour. Yes, and the other one is 1,600. One trip. So you know how you can calculate. Why? When 1,000 is my VH and take me to Accra and probably come back to Cambodia or something. So please, the resources belong to us, the resources belong to the people. Go to our store, mining has gone there for the past 80 years. Bauxite. That's the only place where you get bauxite. And still they are not paid. Still they are not paid. So if we were to get some of the resources, yes, we will use the resources to develop all these areas. And just as the last speaker said, once we are taxed, that is what we use to cater for the vulnerable, those who don't have. Go to Russia, it's your area, you take it, and government taxes you. Europe, look at Texas. So this idea of it's a unitary government, so government will collect all and then share it among. Then the people who are directly affected do not get anything. If that were done, then Texas will not be Texas. Los Angeles will not be Los Angeles. You see? So, coordinator, thank God you are here. We are not happy at all. We are not. And it's not about this government alone. I served on the previous government of the Council of State, and I'm the Council of State again. I am not enthused at all about what is going on. Our politicians to change and make sure that the people are catered for. That's why I said, next year, those students whose school fees have been paid, they will move up from government dormitories and hostels to private hostels. And they are going to pay between 4,000, and that 4,000 will be several kilometers away. If you want to get as close as possible to Turkey, it's about 15,000. So, please, the hen that lays the golden egg must be well fed. But people are not happy, they are crying. You don't understand why a small state like the United States should have 4 big mining companies. There's nothing to show for it. When Ochehene started Ochehene Foundation and started to do the needful, who gave the law? No law backs you. So now people in the Achima area are not able to check illegal loggers. Yes. Meanwhile, you are doing the right thing. Go to Konomo, people are now mining homes. I said, we don't have government. Homes. You know the effect of cyanide and mercury. So, if we are talking about national security, these are serious national security issues. Thank you.
national security vis-a-vis the institution of chieftaincy. Until 1969, chieftaincy cases were heard by the government. And then, come the 69 Constitution, government vests the power to adjudicate chieftaincy matters in the House of Chiefs. And we had the traditional council where supplied with registrars who work in the courts. So as to facilitate the work of the houses of the traditional councils and the House of Chiefs. Because the idea was that chiefs knew the customs and the usages, and that it would build a corpus of laws on chieftaincy and traditional usages and customs and laws across the length and breadth of the country. The system worked, and most of the issues that have come up on regarding chieftaincy emanate from the fact that they take a long time and they fester and develop into more deadly wounds. We don't give the chieftaincy institutions the necessary resources to effectively prosecute the hearing of cases. I'm not president will bear me out, and all members of the House will all bear me out. That a time was in Ashanti, the whole of Ashanti, we have only one bailiff at post. Now, most of the bailiffs have gone on retirement, and the establishment didn't think it appropriate or think it fit to, replace them. So imagine having one bailiff to service 47 traditional councils. And without the service of a bailiff, you cannot start adjudicating on cases. How does the institution work? Now, if during the period, the chieftaincy issue had started, which had security implications, the whole gamut of governmental machinery will be put in that area. And look at how much it will cost us. We seem to look at the greater picture whilst we are ignoring the minutiae that are the base that will affect, our national security agenda we have to support the establishment and then finance chieftaincy. Now, I'm not sure, I've been out of the house for a long time, but I'm not sure whether even meetings of the houses, you have monies to fund meetings of houses.
Yes, right. They are providing that the fund.
But look at it. If you are the national security, wants chieftaincy and to help with national security issues, it should be possible for us to have the wherewithal, the resources, to come and meet and say, oh, there's something happening in area A. Let us have a body of eminent chiefs to go and do an alternative dispute resolution, so as to, smother any ill that may come up. But we don't have the money for such purpose. But since you wanted to meet with us, we provided the money. I hope that you'll meet with us more so that you provide the money anytime they want to meet. So that at least we funds are completely replenished all the time. We need to be properly and effectively resourced to be able to play the part that you want us to play. Because we cannot put something on nothing and expect it to stand. It doesn't work. It's not the law of nature. Now, there has been a lot of talk about provision in the Act, which was expunged by virtue of the Supreme Court judgments. Let me give you a practical example. After the third, after President Kufuor, I think the fourth term of the Third Republic, the Bank of Ghana board was dissolved by President Mills. So, a member of the board of governors of the Bank of Ghana took the government to court that the president didn't have any power to dissolve the board. since they had a mandate to run for 4 years. This affected the government directly. Just as we have been affected by this provision where when you call somebody or you invite somebody to come to the palace, you don't, and it doesn't respond, you have nothing to say against it now. Since the government was involved, we know the government did. The following day, the following week, they went to Parliament to pass an act, and that gave rise to the Presidential Transition Act, which said that upon the expiration of the presidential term, all boards are dissolved. So there's a precedent. Why don't you apply it in the case of chieftaincy? That if the laws have been expanded by the Supreme Court, does not tie the hands of Parliament from re-enacting the law. It was a matter of interpretation. But now the practice has been so done that the interpretation will be, obvious. The plain reading of the enactment to make it obvious. Because any time that you want somebody to do something, you must ensure that he has the tools and the resources and the wherewithal to be able to effectively do it. Now, if you want us to help with balance, to help with this, to help with that, and you don't have the power or the authority to invite somebody, then it's a non-starter. Just like as they say, sitting in the dark and squeezing your face. Nobody will say it. As you say, you soon now. So, and it doesn't work. So, national security coordinator, since you have been there are some of these things that when they have bigger attention, then you put resources and you put all your men and houses and men to act. But just as you were introducing your people, you have somebody to deal with intelligence gathering. This is intelligence. Let us see whether the bodies that have to do with chieftaincy resolutions, chieftaincy master resolutions, have a money to work. Otherwise, in no time, the case will power, and then it will give rise to explode. And in the process, it all of us in the face. So I would thank you now, President, for giving me the opportunity to contribute. And I hope that the National Security Coordinator will be minded to take this into immediate, immediately. Thank you.
And I'm with you,
It starts with issues of constitutional matters that has placed, or as you have said, handicapped the institutions. But when it comes to constitutional matters, you want to agree with me that the modality to correct it will be either a review mechanism or maybe the courts as guidance of the constitutional. In the issues of acts of parliament, laws that are not inherent to the benefit of the chieftaincy institution, you again agree with me that the courts reserve the right to give certain judgments that either alter or add certain ramifications to the meaning of the original law that were passed. Looking at all of this, you will appreciate with me that as a National Security Secretariat, we might not be able to immediately change constitutional matters and all the acts as they are now. But as a first step, realizing from what Nana has said, the intelligence we have gathered, the significant roles chiefs can play in the running of peace and security in our country, we need to take a certain first step. The first step we can take the area of operational procedures that are implementable by national security without recourse to policy change. Once decisions are coming and discussions are coming and have to do with policy change, the only thing national security might be doing is looking at intelligence and then writing briefs to either Parliament or the President inciting these areas to watch at. In the meantime, what do we do? you allow the status quo to remain, or you do something about it. In trying to do something about it, they think that it should come to you, rope you into the necessary architecture. There are certain daily activities you can do to soften the situation until you wait for the constitutional review or you wait for the change of the law. You can implement it. But if we sit there and say we want to wait for the constitution to be changed or the law should be changed, so that maybe certain powers that are taken away from you are reinstated, then we are going back to the same spot. As a house, I want to give this is the first time of how the national security data come. This is the first step. This is a recognition of a fact. What can we do within our powers to bring or effect change? And this is what we are trying to do. Issues of policy and constitutional review will take a while. And as you said, we have engaged in constitutional review yesterday, and they are taking our steps in that direction. I can only inform the powers that be about the intelligence that is on the ground. As a peacemaker, a man whose interest is on national security, when my chiefs are unhappy, as you said several, then I'm worried. I need to start working how I can make them happy, at least to maintain the peace until your voices are heard for the requisite changes made to our constitutional laws. This is what I think. Thank you.
Thank you.
How are we going to solve this? You have your knowledge and your commander is telling you, I just had a call from national security, and we shouldn't allow you to enter your palace. Someone has won a case, there was an injunction. I won the case here, National House. I got to Wenchi, I had 150 policemen in front of my palace, and then we are not allowing you to enter. Commander knew that okay, please allow us to do this. How are you going to reduce this our chief investigation? So one major issue with national security is the national security itself, no matter the government. So I think if the national security can be free and fair when it comes to mitigation issues, chief investigation, we are going to go far. That's what I think. Thank you.
The environment. First of all, I want to thank you very much for your coming and also giving us the opportunity to tell you our problems. It's about the environment. Around 2020 to 2022, there was some foreigners encroaching on my land. To my people, I reported to the police. They were not doing anything about it, so I decided to write to headquarters, narcotics, in 2022 July. I wrote to them. It was only yesterday, I was in Accra when I heard that the police came there. So I'm talking about the response of the institutions. The way they respond or the way they have to respond to our complaints. That is what will make maybe these problems come to a halt. Otherwise, when we complain or we write to them and they don't do anything about it, sometimes the problem will start before they come. That time, everything has gone bad. So we pray that every time we call on the police, they should be proactive. They should respond to our call. That is my concern. Yeah, thank you.
The current government's recent agenda, we are realigning our activities to this process. You would realize that previously, national security was on the ground operating. When we say national security, it is all encompassing, and yet it also refers to a unit specifically at the Secretariat. National security will be the top upmost of the security architecture that coordinates the activity of other agencies like the police, etc. So activities meant for police, you will find national security operatives there. This is wrong. So our principle is that national security proper as it is known should all move up. Allow the police to operate, allow the prisons to operate, immigration, etc., the narcotic control laws. When they are finding challenges, let them report to national security proper. then we will see another agency that can come to their help. So, as an example, there was a recent upsurge in the killing of Momo vendors. This is purely a law and order issue, so it should be police case. But the police are not going to have practice, and I want the case to resolve in police. So I included NIB, I included NSB, and they did it in 1 week. So nobody's talking about more vendors, measures, and but if we were left with the police alone, they won't have the resources to be able to do that. This is what national security corporate is supposed to do. It is very disgraceful the way sometimes our boys are found on the tip, behaving in strange ways. So, the reset affects the narcotic control boards, and that's why the narcotic control boards responded now. We are looking at even cold cases, reactivating them so that we can break up. I agree with you, but give us a little time for the restructure to take effect. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know the truth in it, but the Ghana state has come out to say that they have not allocated any plot of land to any Igbo chief. I think they go to. So what's your reaction on this Igbo? This because it is also having rebels in Nigeria against Ghanaians.
Indeed, this unit invited him to national security. That's about a month ago. He denied ever buying any land. In fact, first of all, I sent the team to go to the chiefs of the area and ask them, did they sell a land of this nature to somebody purported to own a kingdom within a kingdom or a kingdom within the state? And they said no. They have all said no, they have not sold a land of that nature. So we invited him himself. He came and said that I wanted to buy some land, I didn't really buy it. And that the video that had gone viral was video done in 2003 or so. That has just been activated. And so I take this opportunity to tell this house, one of the problems we are facing in modern day security is misinformation and disinformation. People can take AI and make Nana President say something he hasn't really said. And for now, they've been battling it on the social media. As far as we are concerned, within the national security framework, we have resolved it. The man hasn't got any land. He has no ability to establish an institution of that nature. And if he had got the land and he proposed to create a kingdom, we would have stopped it. That should be very clear. Our traditions are clear and the land owners are already there. The allocation owners have their chieftaincies and their kingdoms established. One cannot afford to create a modest kingdom within another land. If you buy a land, you'll be using it for commercial purposes. In any way, the foreigner, when you buy land, you will have after about 15 years of using a kingdom created for 15 years. This is the position.
Thank you. But what about this the Panatinaria? And
We are supposed to so that's
no. What you say is that this picture probably was taken about 3 years ago. And then he has also denied, or people along the route, even if they have sold land, they are all denying that they haven't sold land to him. But then we know chiefs, the area around them. That's why I'm asking that person. That go further.
You agree with me in my speech. I started even a jungle in Madan that was being installed and got killed. So, within a small settlement community, if a foreign group are in the country and decide that they want a herdsman and decide to call it any other name, and he buys a stool or something to decorate himself, that wouldn't be of serious issue. It is when the people try to ascribe a particular land area to themselves, claiming to be a chief of that land, that would still right. So I see all those as dressing, and if you know Igbos for who they are, these are ostentatious people who likes to really show off as it is. But to be honest with you, on the ground, from the Nanano of the area, the Name and Hime of the area, they said they have not sold any land to him. He in particular, when National Security invited him and questioned him about this, denied completely buying and said that this incident happened about some days or whatever. This is the position. If you were still accepting that, then we can take it further.
We started this discussion around 11 a.m. I think we said a lot. It was said, not all, but a number of the issues confronting us as far as security is concerned. We've also given him the opportunity to respond to some of them. Certainly, we cannot resolve all the issues today. I believe next time we meet, we'll go review what we have done here together with the constitutional review meeting. So, if there are any questions, I'll permit only 2. If there are no other questions, then of course, I will invite the coordinator to finally address the House and then bring the curtain down. Thank you.
When you are doing a ransom for the use of a weapon, a reason is attached to the use. Any weapon given to you, other than the hunting guns, the long one that goes with the, are meant for defense, not offensive. That means you cannot be going to a place and first of all take it as something you are going to use there. It must be with you either in your home and when necessary in your vehicle, so that when you get attacked, you can use it to defend yourself. The license must be with you and the reason for the usage of the weapon will be there. In all the reasons we give for issuance of license for the use of a weapon, it does not include for ceremonies and then for festivals. So to start with, once you bring out an AK-47, you bring out a pistol, or you bring out the modern pump action gun at the funeral celebration, already you have violated. There is a musketry, traditional musketry, that we have for celebration of this nature. But if for any reason you would have to use, because you don't have that, you want to use the shotgun, then you want to liaise with the police. For us to be sure that you are using blank ammunition. Blank ammunition means that it will not discharge pellets capable of killing. And if you give the police the opportunity to train your team how to use them, there are many attempts I've seen people shoot and the gun gets off their hands. You cannot shoot a weapon like that without it recoiling on your shoulder as a rebound. But the whole thing and the shoot and off is on the ground. So to be honest with you, as far as the law is concerned, once we see a video of you firing a pistol, an AK-47, in an event of this nature, we should be arrested. But as Nana said, we want to do the education first, because people who have been doing it are ignorant. But if you involve the police, as we speak, that traditional council wants to go on board. They've written, I've seen their letter from them. And so we will send police immediately to them, assist them. Oh, this you can use, this you cannot use. Blank ammunition, party, etc., etc., etc. Let's keep the mosquito thing that's far away from the selling ground, so that you don't end enduring them. Even when you intend to fire, the announcement can be made by the MC. Oh, it is now time for some mosquito display. You have psyched everybody up. So that they don't get somebody, the sound of the gun can make somebody faint or even die. So this is what we are saying. We are not barring you. Self-defense is permissible with the use of it. Your license will tell you the use. So when you are applying for registration, be clear of the reason why it is given to you. Thank you. I believe the opportunity to express one's feeling is the first step in appeasing. And having come here and giving you the opportunity to tell how happy you are, we have managed to take the next step of your hearts. And we are believing that those avenues we as capacity can do to cushion these worries before maybe constitutional review or government policy can change. We will do that. We want to be working henceforth in conjunction with the National House of Chiefs, and anytime you call us, we'll be here to respond. In the meeting with you indoors, we did exchange the numbers with key personnel with your staff. And once they say they need something, immediately they will grant it. We will also look within the scope that anytime you are sitting as a House of Chief, the national and then the regional, will not be able to go further than that. National security will be available to support you on it. Once we know what is required of us, we will make it a regular implementation plan. I thank you for the opportunity. I'm not as wise as you, and where in trying to explain what we intend to do, we have found one in expressing it clearly. Do forgive us. As time goes on, we learn the tradition from you and until affecting our approach from time to time. Issues raised that are necessary for us to put within the presidential briefs for the powers that needs to hear, you can be rest assured we will convey it to the right forum. I thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
We have stated that most attacks, when they are called upon, we come in respect of kinetic security, that is the protection of people. But something happens before people require protection, and that is the human security part. And we are very keen on it. That is why she has been appointed Deputy Coordinator for Governance, Administration and Operation General, and he is in charge as a Deputy Coordinator, Human Security. Human security will be things to do with the drilling of potable water, schools, issue of festivals, and also the funding of your meetings going forward will fall under him. And so I believe he has already exchanged numbers. These are the human security things. Once the issue comes out and we hear, we saw so that we don't need to come and then we put on fire when the fire has started. Someone said about proactive. This is the agency we want to do that. I did not want to mention this, but we need to take cognizance of the existence of terrorist threats all over us. Our country is the most peaceful hub. All of them can be holidays. We don't know when they will decide that they don't know that it's a holiday and will transform it into an attack game. Chiefs are the ears of the ground. And Nana President drew my attention to it, that they are capable of finding out strangers who come into their territory. And that's one of the reasons why we want to create the liaisons. If a national security liaison is with you, the liaison carries the powers of arrest and identity as the national security secretariat itself. And so it's able to help the chief in the summoning and arrest as the game is be until the law and the constitution is changed to empower you again. So I think we're giving you a solution. Once these liaisons are established, they are recognized and employed national security officials working from national houses of chiefs, and they can be used. We may not be able to go down to the paramountcies yet because of salaries, etc. But this is something that we do, and we think through it in the contest, how it will help. I thank you for the opportunity and hope that the next time I am invited, I won't be hot like I am hot today. Thank you.
And this engagement we see endures to the benefit of our dear country. We thank you for the honor, the respect, reverence which you have given to the chieftaincy institution through your presentation. And even through the engagement, already you have engaged us at the regional level. Your team came to Cape Coast and there was that engagement. And we thank you for continuing here, for accepting and giving us solutions. And for those ones that you are not able to work on, you've promised us
that we are going to escalate them so that we get solutions. On behalf of the President, the Vice President, and the Lord, we say thank you for coming. Even for the budgets, which is given today, which is going to augment what we take every time we meet. And even promising that when we want to meet and we call on you, you'll be there for us. This gives us assurance that we shall meet regularly for the rest of the year at least. So we say thank you. As human as we are limited in capacity and wisdom and all. May God guide us, help us, so that all that we have discussed, we are able to implement for the benefit of our dear country. And thank you for this.